Yo, so what's happening, guys? I'm going to be talking to you guys about One Piece, and from what I'm thinking of making the thumbnail, it's going to be something like 700 episodes in 4 months, which is what I've managed to cover in One Piece. There's currently about 1,000 episodes out at the moment, so I'm not too far from catching up, only like 300 episodes off. But yeah, basically, I've always known about One Piece because when I was watching Dragon Ball Z as a kid, around like 10, 8 years old or whatever, one at the end, towards the end of Dragon Ball Z, I remember One Piece came on. But as a kid, I was never really a fan of One Piece. I never got into it. But I've got a friend who's more of a One Piece guy than a Dragon Ball Z guy, and he's been watching One Piece constantly for the past probably like nearly 10 years now or something. But anyway, he's the one who put me onto One Piece. He'd be constantly telling me what would be happening in the story, and it always sounded interesting. But there was just something about me where it was like, oh, it's too long. I just kept on putting it off for whatever reason. I knew when I finally got around to watching it that it'd be good, but for whatever reason, I kept putting it off. But anyway, around July time, I eventually put One Piece on, and what can I say? I was watching like 10 episodes a day, sometimes more, and I was flying through it, and I learned so much stuff about the characters that I thought I knew. I mean, I don't know whether, I'm guessing you guys, if you're listening to this, you've watched One Piece before, but if not, stop listening to this video now. Stay away from any spoilers of One Piece, but at the same time, it don't matter if you have been spoiled on it, and just go put it on as soon as you can. It's quite a long series, obviously, but you'll fly through it. You can skip the intro and stuff like that, and yeah, just get it on as soon as possible if you've never seen it. But if you have seen it, stick around and let's talk about it a bit, because there are so many, like, for instance, characters like Zoro and Sanji. I remember before when I'd see, like, when my friend would be watching One Piece and I'd just catch the odd episode, I think to myself, like, oh, who's this guy with 3 swords and he carries one of them in his mouth? How stupid's that? But then when you actually watch the series and you get to understand it, it's like, oh my god, it's so badass that he carries 3 swords and that he has one in his mouth. And then a character like Sanji, I remember when I first saw Sanji, like I say, when I'd catch the odd episode of my friend watching it, and he'd just be kicking people, I'd be thinking, well, this don't make no sense. Why has he just got kick-based attacks? But then obviously, when you actually watch the story and you learn that he only uses his feet because he needs his hands for cooking and things like that, and obviously he's the chef of the ship, it all just makes so much sense. And there are characters that I never thought that I'd like, that I really like once again, going back to when I'd just seen my friend watching it, characters like Chopper, I remember thinking, oh, I bet if I ever watch One Piece, he's going to be one of the characters that I'm not too keen on. But he's one of the best characters. He's like the cool pet of the ship, but he's also a badass at the same time. And then obviously, we're not even talking about like the main characters like Luffy. Now, obviously, I'm coming from like the Dragon Ball Z. That was my anime show as a kid, Dragon Ball Z, and even to this day, obviously, I still love Dragon Ball Z. But One Piece it almost took all the good things about Dragon Ball Z and then just added on them, and it kind of made it even better, if I'm being honest. I mean, the storytelling in One Piece is definitely, I'd say, a lot better than Dragon Ball Z. I mean, Dragon Ball Z is amazing, obviously. It's kind of got like the Rocky formula, but One Piece, it's real long story arcs, and you could say that the whole story of One Piece is Luffy trying to find the One Piece. That's I suppose, one big main overarching story. And currently there are 1,000 episodes in, and he probably is close to it, but at the same time he's not too close to it. And then all the side stories, the mini stories. I mean, I've only watched, so I'm currently 700 episodes in, and obviously I've only done this one run of it so far. So I can't wait till I go back and watch it a second time, just so I can really grasp everything that I'm getting. I mean, I think I'm understanding everything that's going on, but something like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, I've watched that a couple of times, so I can really talk about that. But with me only watching One Piece once, I can talk about it, but I don't know everything about it. I've seen some YouTubers on YouTube who, they're like One Piece experts. I'm not a One Piece expert, but I'm definitely a massive fan of it after watching it. I started watching it 4 months ago, and like I say, I'm 700 episodes in. To be honest, I'd probably be even more episodes in, but it switched over from English dub to English sub, so, during the Fishman Island arc. Obviously, if you guys have watched it, you know what I'm talking about, but it kind of slowed down for me a bit then. You know, I was smashing through like 10 episodes a day, but then when it switched over to subtitled, I went down to around like 5 episodes a day. So we've slowed down a bit, but the progress is still going. And you know, like one of the best things about One Piece is that it's like the hierarchy of everything, really. You know, so obviously it's about pirates, and like I say, I'm guessing you guys have watched One Piece if you're this far into the video, but one thing that I really like about the One Piece world is the hierarchy. So, you know, you've got the Marines, and then you've got like the top Marine, and then, you know, you'll have like the 3 badass Marines below them and people below them and so on and so forth. But then it's also the same with the pirates, like you'll have the captain, the second in command, whatever, third in command, blah blah blah, all the way down. But then obviously there are so many different like pirate groups that all like follow this similar sort of thing. And then you've got the warlords, the 7 warlords, the Yonkos, and you know, like it's the world building that's made this series so good. You know, I'm interested in so many characters, and like for instance, let's just say that, you know, the Straw Hat crew, let's just say that they're top 10, like the top 10 people that you should be most interested in. Then you've got people outside that are just so cool, like Smoker, for instance. Ever since he showed up at the beginning, I was like, yo, I like this guy, and he's popped up every now and then, and every time he does pop up, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's got an interesting story, even though he'd be considered like a B or C list character. And then, you know, the villains as well, oh man. Like a Smoker, I suppose he is a bad guy. Well, no, in fact, he's a Marine, so technically he's a good guy, and he is actually one of the good Marines. But you know, but then you've also got bad guys like Akainu, who, you know, spoiler alert, punched a fist through Ace's chest, and you know, how much of a sick villain is he? I mean, for the longest time ever, like, you know, they kept his face kind of a mystery. You know, he always had his cap kind of tilted down so you could never see him, and then when he finally does show his face, it's like a big reveal, even though all he's doing is coming out of the shadows, quote unquote. But then, you know, he's just so badass. Even though he's a bad guy in that, it's kind of like, yo, this guy's badass. And then you've got like other interesting villains like Buggy, you know, one of the earliest villains to show up in One Piece. And then he's obviously still doing his thing to this day. There's lots of comedy in One Piece as well. I mean, going back to comparing it to Dragon Ball Z, obviously you've got the main character who's kind of like an idiot, and then the guy next to him, Zoro, which I guess Luffy and Zoro, I guess, would be kind of like Goku and Vegeta. So you've got like the happy-go-lucky, badass main guy, and then you've got the stoic, badass, quote-unquote sidekick. So yeah, comparing it to Dragon Ball Z, I suppose you could say that, like, I mean, if we're comparing it to Dragon Ball Z, in particular Dragon Ball Z, not Dragon Ball or any other sort of Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z, like, that was mostly about the action. It had a story, obviously, but it was mostly about, let's get to this guy and fight him. Now, this happens in One Piece. Like, every arc, Luffy's going to come up against the main bad guy of the arc and fight him. But for the most part, there's an actual story to One Piece. Like, there's always a particular mission, and then it just so happens that there's a bad guy involved in it that Luffy's going to have to kick his ass. I mean, if we're talking about arcs as well, it'd be hard to say which my favourite arc is. I mean, the Marineford arc, I mean, that is just something else. That might be the best kind of like fight scene. I mean, when I say fight, I mean not even fight really. I mean, it might be like the best war scene in anything, to be honest. I mean, I'm a big fan of things like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Or if you want to talk about TV shows, maybe like Game of Thrones, there's lots of like battle scenes and that. But what goes down in Marineford is something else. I mean, just when the ships come up from underwater, sorry, and it's like, it's just so badass. I can't even talk about it that much because, like I say, I've only seen it once, and it's probably like a month or so ago that I watched it. But there are just so many badass bits in that, and you know, the devil fruit powers. It's like there are so many interesting devil fruit powers. Whitebeard's is one of the crazy ones, obviously, and that's what's crazy about the Marineford arc is Whitebeard. At this point, we'd probably only seen him like maybe 2-3 times max, I'm going to say, in the past episodes. And I think Marineford comes around somewhere around somewhere around episode 400. I think it's somewhere after 400 anyway. So we've gone through 400 episodes of One Piece. We've only met Whitebeard like 2-3 times tops, and then all of a sudden he's in this big battle, and it's like we're just proper rooting for him. Like the character development in so much short time, it's something else. I can't even explain it without watching it, but if you've watched it, you know exactly what I mean. Just how invested he was in Whitebeard, and you know, Whitebeard getting Ace back and Luffy getting Ace back. It was crazy. But so Marineford is probably the most like it's probably the saddest arc in One Piece, definitely. You know, there's lots of hope in it as well. You know, you're constantly on the edge of your seat. And I don't know what you guys think, but to be honest, everyone goes on about the Ace death, like, oh no, you know, everyone seems to be proper devastated by Ace. But to be honest, I found Whitebeard's death more upsetting, because you know Whitebeard, he goes through hell and then he eventually dies, whereas Ace, you know, he was chained up for the longest time ever, but he basically dies after one punch, where Whitebeard, he goes through torture and then he eventually dies in the end anyway. But then you've also got like real fun arcs as well. Well, in fact, all arcs have got a little bit of badass seriousness to them. But one of my favourite arcs was the Water 7 arc. I think Water 7, is that right? Something like that. Anyway, I think you guys know which one I'm on about, with the Rob Lucci and those CP9 guys. This was when One Piece, to me anyway, it kind of stepped it up with the fighting and things, and it kind of went to the Dragon Ball Z level. The way people move, and even the sound effects of the TV show, I think some similar sound effects to what you'd get in Dragon Ball. But yeah, the way people would move, kind of like the teleporting, but really they're just moving so fast it looks like they're teleporting. Like, I love that sort of fighting in anime shows, you know. To me, Dragon Ball Z was the first place that I saw it, and then, you know, a lot of people afterwards have kind of, you know, copied it or just followed suit. You know, things like One Punch Man and obviously One Piece. But yeah, to me that was like the funniest and the most badass at the same time One Piece has been. Whereas like arcs like the Marineford arc, obviously it's badass, but it's more like emotional and badass. You know, it's not too much fun. It's like on the edge of your seat stuff during that arc. But you know, also going back to the early arcs as well, it was good to see how everyone joined the team as well. You know, everyone kind of had a villain, and then Luffy and the crew would help them sort the villain out, and then they joined the team, and so on and so forth. Probably one of the funniest recruits to the team was Brook. I remember, like, I was thinking, because I'd been spoiled on One Piece, I knew that when I saw Brook, I knew he was obviously going to join the team and become part of the team, but I didn't think it'd just be like, as soon as Luffy meets him, he's like, yup, do you want to join the team? And then Brook's just straight away, yep. And then that's how they get a new crew member. It's, you know, there's a lot of comedy in One Piece, which I think keeps it light-hearted, but like I say, at the same time, it's so intense at some bits. You know, that like, obviously Whitebeard and Ace's death, you know, they get you, and it sticks with you as well. It's like, man, there's some major deaths that impact the series. But then at the same time, you know, you've got good alliances. Like, at the moment, I'm currently around episode 700. So for you guys that have watched it, and like I say, if you're this far in the video, I'm guessing you've watched it, but somewhere around 700. So we're currently going up against Doflamingo, and we've had the Colosseum. Now, obviously, in the Colosseum, it's introduced so many good characters. I think the guy's name that I like is I can't remember his name, Baruto, something like that. And the barrier guy, anyway, One Piece, Straw Hat's biggest fan. You know, he's a new character that's been introduced 600 episodes in, and we're getting this new character, and he's such a good character. You know, he's got the comedy, he's kind of a badass, but it's more comedy for him, to be honest. Even though he is a badass and he's got some sick devil fruit powers, you know, pretty much everything he does, you're proper laughing on and you can relate to him. But, you know, you know, getting into some of my favourite characters and things like that. Initially, when the crew was being formed, you know, I thought Zoro was a badass right off the bat. One of the best things about Zoro is, like, Luffy kind of freed him and that. And then straight away, we're like, you know, he called him captain at one point, and you just knew that was like, oh man, this guy's got a lot of respect for his captain, even though he's just become his captain like 5 minutes ago or something daft like that. You know, you knew that Zoro was just like a loyal soldier, quote unquote, but You know, one of my favourite characters, or my favourite character probably, who got recruited to the team was Usopp, because, you know, he's kind of like, he wants to be brave, but he's a liar and he's a coward. But, you know, at the end of the day, he always does do his best to be brave and help out. But, you know, Usopp is definitely one of my favourites. I like a lot of comedy and I like the comic relief in shows, so yeah, that's probably why I gravitate to Usopp most. And also the backstories in One Piece. A lot of the people have sad backstories, and you know, I'm in this One Piece Facebook fan page, whatever, and a lot of people always, you know, they ask who's got the saddest story, and I'll tell you who definitely doesn't have the saddest story, and that's Luffy. I mean, he kind of does, you know, like the fact that Garp left him and stuff like that. I suppose that's kind of sad, but the initial backstory of Luffy to make you think, oh, this guy's got a sad backstory about Shanks losing his arm. To me, that ain't sad. And you know, obviously there are theories out there about Shanks, whether he's actually a good guy or whether he's one of the main villains. We just don't know yet. I mean, but when I started watching One Piece, a lot of it had been spoiled for me. And if you're watching this and you've never watched One Piece, don't worry about spoilers. You can still watch this show and 100% enjoy it. But one of the spoilers for me was, is Shanks a bad guy? So when I was watching One Piece for the first time, I had in mind, oh, is this guy a bad guy? And to be honest, they're leaving some big clues in there that it could be a bad guy. If you guys have watched it, go back and watch when Shanks meets Whitebeard on his ship. The conversation between them, it's like, there's definitely something going on with Shanks, and we're just, even now, 900 episodes in, I'm 700 episodes in, but the show's 900 episodes in. Even now, Shanks aren't shown his ulterior motive, because that's what it seems like he's got. It seems like he's got an ulterior motive. But that's, like I say, that's the best thing about One Piece, is it's all the different levels to it. There are so many interesting people, and they've all got like a story going on. You know, Shanks is just one of the stories. I mean, we still need to find out what's going to go on with Blackbeard and stuff like that. But you know, I'm I'm just doing this video to talk about One Piece, really, and gauge whether there's any interest in me talking about more One Piece. Let me know who you guys' favourite characters are. What's your favourite arc? What's your favourite moment? Saddest moment? Happiest moment? Best devil fruit power? How do you think One Piece is going to end? Yeah, if you guys have got any questions for me about One Piece, let me know down below, because I'd like to do more videos on it. You know, maybe do most interesting characters or just videos like that. But anyway, if you guys have listened this far and you're big fans of One Piece, hit like and subscribe, and look out for my next One Piece video.